All right, welcome back. I'm gonna be covering the functions again. I know I think I did a pretty good job in my other function videos, but just gonna be covering all over again just because there's more of them, and maybe there's something I missed. So today is normal. Tomorrow's probably gonna be toggle, but for normal, um, it's pretty much the basic of the basics of the functions. I'm gonna be talking about column B. There's plenty of them. Today we're going to be talking about normal. And on the website or the online manual, it is pretty straightforward. The output is active only when the input is active. That means if you're not sipping it or puffing it, it's not going to turn on. It only turns on if you activate it. So as long as you hold it, it's going to be on. If you let go, it's going to turn off. So that's pretty much it. But how do you use it? How do you make it to, what can you do with it? There's just a lot of different ways. It's very accessible and very like hands-on with the other functions. You can combine it with toggle. You can actually don't recommend combining it with toggle. It works well with repeat. It works well with delay on. It works well with greater than and even less than. I have some examples. So with normal, this is one absurd way of doing it. Uh, I guess I'm just showing you this just to show you that like no matter how many times you add a line, you can have multiple inputs of the same button on the same location on the Quadstick. You know, and even though this is an absurd way of doing it, when I center puff it, it's not going to repeat 44 times. It's going to repeat once, but it's still going to repeat as A is normal on center puff. Don't do this. This is just an example of like that. It's just going to act normally. That's pretty much what I was trying to get at. But the best, but what I want to talk about is how to combine buttons. So in my combine button section, I color coded it to make it easier. You know, let's start with the orange one. In most games, they have you push two buttons at once. Whether it be cutscenes or like things like that. But sometimes I like to use it for like quick scoping if the game lets you, especially in first-person shooters like in Call of Duty. Um, uh, this will definitely help you with that if it allows it. But basically, what it does is it pulls the left trigger and the right trigger at the exact same time, so no delay, and the Quadstick reads everything line by line. So it reads 27, and it says, all right, it's left trigger. But then it also reads 28 saying the same command is right trigger. So that's pretty much what normal does. A lot of games need combining buttons. The only ones that come out of my top of my head are like Shadow of Mordor, which is on the purple color. Shadow of Mordor uses a lot of the combinations of YB, also known as triangle and circle. And yeah, and the command is usually execute in that game. And you should see like a little clip of it right now of what's activating. But combining buttons is like one of the best ways of using normal as a function. Because a lot of games require you to mash 2 to 3 buttons at the exact same time for either a cutscene or certain move sets. I know Devil May Cry has a lot of combo buttons or abilities that you need 2 buttons at the same time to use it. So that's one way you can use it. And like I mentioned here on the bottom, on the green color, it works great with other functions too, which I will be covering in the future. I know I've used the combination normal and greater than together, especially when I want to aim. So what this line does is the left trigger activates almost instantly, and then if you blow a little harder, greater than kicks in on the same button, and it also activates. So it will trigger an aim stance, and then it will fire. I've seen some people use this in their profiles, and it worked very well. Um, you can also use normal for increment modes. So I use this a lot. I mean a lot. Sometimes I like to use secret modes, is what I call them, and normal helps me the best with it because increment mode has certain rules to it, and normal just bypasses them all. So if I have increment mode like 2 to 3 times on the same button, and I just put normal, it would activate all those times, all 4 times, all 2 times, whatever. So normal really helps me with secret modes, and I will be covering that in a later video. But that's pretty much it. A couple games that it helped me with is, like I mentioned, Shadow Mortar. I use normal in combinations with buttons. Sniper Elite as well. Normal has also helped me with combining 2 buttons. See in the purple line. I can reload or do an action button with it, but at the same time, it also activates the binoculars. But at this one, I actually combined it with the Leon. Normal and the Leon are working in conjunction as one button, but they do 2 different things, so it's perfect. I also use it in simple games like in Castle Crashers. Castle Crashers revolves around using magic. So the right trigger uses the magic, and then every other button that follows with it is a different magic attack. Is an example of that as well. There's not really much I can say about normal besides being very simple, but very convenient. So hopefully you learned something new about how to combine buttons at least. I will be covering toggle. Toggle's pretty much what normal is. It just makes life easier, especially with first-person shooters. But I'll see you in that video. Take care, guys.